Hi, in this brief video, I want to share some ideas with you that will hopefully encourage you not to consider yourself a victim to the algorithms of social media. You know, we all know that our social media companies use algorithms to present things to us. The algorithms determine what we like to watch and give us more of that. They also know through experience that those things that are emotionally charged, that is, things that tend to divide us over connect us, are those things that we tend to get more highly engaged with and watch longer. Hence, they give us what we like, and if somebody likes something different from you, they're going to get more of that. And that tends to divide us over time because they're feeding that person what they want and they're feeding us what we want. And they're also feeding us things that are emotionally charged. And what we well know is that a lot of the divisiveness that's occurring in the United States and around the world these days has been driven in part by social media companies who have given us what we wanted in an emotionally charged way. So then the question becomes, how can we not be a victim to this? How can we use social media in an engaged and positive way? And one of those things is to not see yourself as a victim to their algorithms, to just simply say, well, that's the way it is and there's nothing I can do. You know, what we teach in New Thought is a type of spirituality that empowers us to see that we're not victims to the world, that we can change our lives through the power of our thoughts and the power of our actions. And so we move from a state of victim consciousness to one that recognizes that they can create life in the way that they want it. In fact, that they eventually are seeing their life as something that they are creating in partnership with the divine flow of life itself. But with social media and algorithms, sometimes it's easy to get into the victim consciousness and think that, well, there's nothing more I can do. They're just going to simply present myself and people who think differently from me this content that's going to continue to divide us. And so we have to look at it and say, how can we move from being a victim in these circumstances to taking control of this? We can't change what other people are doing, but we can certainly change what we're doing. And one of those is to approach any kind of social media, whether it is Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. You take any of them there and recognize that they are going to feed you content that is content in alignment with what you want. So how can you now not be a victim to what they're giving you, and you can open yourself up? However, I thought I would turn the tables and ask artificial intelligence in the form of ChatGPT, how can we change and not be a victim to social media? And I would encourage you to do something very similar to whatever AI platform you're using, is to use it in a manner that allows you to say, how can I do better in my use of technology to find ways to unite us rather than divide us? The prompt that I used with ChatGPT, I'd like to give it to you, but I would encourage you to find your own. Whatever that AI services that you're using, find a useful prompt that will give you results that would be beneficial for you. I'm going to share what ChatGPT gave me, but again, I encourage you to go out there, create your own prompt, get your own results from them, and push back and have a dialogue with them and see what benefit it gives you. Here's the dialogue in brief that I had with ChatGPT. I asked the question, can you give some general rules on how to use social media, including Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, etc., so that I don't feel as divided from others by the algorithms that tend to show me stuff based on my general preferences? Now, that was my prompt. In fact, I'll write that prompt down in the show description if you want to use it, but I would encourage you to use something like that or modify it for your own use. And of course, I got the general, that was a great question mark content back from ChatGPT, but it did actually give some useful information that might be beneficial for you today. First off, it says use social media intentionally, not habitually. It encourages us to avoid sitting there in doom scrolling and just sitting there mercifully over a long periods of time going through our social media feeds and seeing how and monitoring how much time that you're using your feed. And it's encouraging us to use it intentionally. Sit down and think about what is it that you're wanting to do with your social media. Am I here to connect with other people? Am I here to prepare or share something that's uplifting to other people? Or am I here to tear people down or do something negatively? If it's the latter, then you want to discourage that and only encourage the social media to use things in a positive way so that gives you positive stuff back through the algorithms. The second suggestion that it gave to me was to diversify who you follow and what you follow. It's real easy to click on and say, I'm going to follow the things that I like and not follow the things I don't like. But you need to be consciously aware that that then tends to give you more and more of what you like, and it keeps you in a bubble, puts you in a bubble. There's a couple of websites that I've discovered that have been useful. One is called allsides.com and the other is ground.news. I'll put links in the show description for you. But both of them are programs that try to take the day's news and make a balanced approach to it, present it in a way where you can see how media is being covering all the stories of the day from various different perspectives and give you a chance to see an alternate take than what you're used to. But again, diversify what you follow. Good idea and good suggestion from ChatGPT. Next, it says engage but don't react. That is, can you withhold from bringing judgment, to somebody? Can you not, turn on your flamethrower when somebody says something that you don't like? You can just walk away from a social media post. You don't have to share it. You don't have to like it. In fact, one of the things I've encouraged people is when you get something that you agree with, and it sounds outlandish to a degree, stop and fact check it before you send it on. I've had so many people that I know take something that's incendiary and share it with their Facebook group and then find out later that it wasn't true, that they just shared it without thinking about it. So before you go sharing other people's thoughts that are somewhat incendiary, stop and check it and make sure that it's accurate. Fourth thing is something that ChatGPT calls tame the algorithm. And by that they mean mix up your clicks, that when you like or comment or linger on a post, think about that's going to give you more of that kind of stuff. So try to mix up what you're clicking on and looking at. That way it will give you a diverse approach. One of the things that also encourages you to do is occasionally go and clear out your cache or your memory or your history and change it so that it won't continuously be building based on stuff. This is really useful in YouTube, and it was suggesting, especially in YouTube, to take the time to, clear your history or to delete videos that you've watched that you don't want to get content on. I asked ChatGPT as a follow-up question, the prompt, how do you tell YouTube not to use videos to show you content that's similar? Take that prompt or something similar, and it'll give you instructions on how to make changes to your social media feeds to tweak them so they're not continuously overusing things that you've looked at. So consciously think about how you might delete some things out of your social media feed that you've watched so that it will not be using that as a basis for feeding you stuff. Curate your emotional energy. Pay attention to how you feel after time on each platform. Do you feel peaceful, inspired, angry, drained? Do an analysis when you're going to certain websites or you're following certain people. Is this getting you emotionally charged? Is it uniting you with others, or is it dividing you from others? Is it making you angry or making you feel good? Tend to go towards the ones that make you feel better, feel you connected to other people, and things of that nature. When you find yourself getting upset, consider not following them. Okay. Next suggestion was to prioritize human connection over likes. And in that they mean look for real life connections through the people that you're interacting with on social media. It's so easy just to share things that you like, something newsworthy that you saw, but look for opportunities to actually share and connect with people at the human level in your social media feeds. It also had something I thought was an interesting suggestion. It says, remember that behind every post, even the annoying ones, it's a person seeking validation and belonging. One of the things I like to remember is that if I had lived the life of somebody who's upsetting me, I probably would be acting and believing just like they do. And the more I can open myself to compassion for that person, the more that I'm going to less be reacting to them in a negative way. I can open my heart to seeing that perhaps if I had walked in their shoes, I would believe and act like they do. It's not to say, not have healthy boundaries or to agree with somebody that you don't agree with. But it does mean that you can have compassion for them and then not get engaged in an argument or a thing that's going to escalate onward and encourage divisiveness in it. Look for ways to discourage that, including walking away and not commenting. And then it says practice conscious posting. Share content that builds unity or awareness, not outrage. So look for positive things. Don't try to piss people off with your comments. And finally, take regular digital Sabbaths. Take some days off. If you're somebody who gets on social media on a daily basis, try to set at least parts of the day where you're not on it, or set a day of the week that you're not on it, and build that up. There's nothing that says we've got to be on social media continuously. Many years ago, I consciously made the effort to limit my, and this is more for privacy concerns, is to limit my sharing of everything that I do on social media. I had to stop and say, why was I sharing the meal I ate, the places I visited, the things that I did? Was it trying to say, look at my life and how wonderful it is? Was I trying to build my egoic self up, and by the sharing of it? Occasionally I do share stuff that I think is pertinent or interesting, but I found that when I consciously looked at why am I sharing things, if I was doing it from an ego-driven need for likes and shares and things like that, it was the wrong intention. So look at what your intentions are for your social media. And again, take a sabbatical from it. It doesn't have to drive your life. Encourage yourself to have more human connection, direct connection. Social media can be a tool for that. But we don't have to be a victim to the algorithms that are giving us more of emotionally charged content and dividing us from other people by us seeing only things that are available to people in my bubble, and I'm missing out on the things that other people are getting. To break down those bubbles, get outside your bubble. Share more, listen to more, and open your hearts to compassion. In any case, you do not have to be a victim to social media algorithms. I hope this has been beneficial, and I appreciate you watching.